The voice has ended. The pepper in Fuang's hand immediately crumbled. Fall to the ground. The white receiver looks at the pepper in the hand. Unconsciously sighed and nodded. My parents are over 55 years old. I can't believe it broke today. It's like a halfway defeat. God's people laughed for an hour. Raise your bloody hands and say, it's been 158 years. I was injured today in the hands of my men. It's like losing one way. The words just ended with a big laugh. At this time the battle is high. He turned towards the White House. The winner is now unknown. How about we fight another battle? The white receiver looks at the pepper in the hand. The corners of my mouth are a bit tight. If you are interested. Xin Feng Siyu method. Hear this word. Shinto ceremony nods laughing loudly. I want to go out again. That's right now. Most likely the world coldly cried out his tears. Today we respect Mr. Feng. So don't mess around anymore. I have a grudge against the emperor the other day. Words just came out. People can't constrict the corners of their mouths. What do you mean by this? What's called respect for Mr. Feng's face? If not for his words. To master of this magic. They will not fight. Fighting also hit. He is now talking about the white face. How funny is that? However, White did not notice. He is very pleased. This wise man knows how to move forward and backward. The harm is in your hands. Achieving his goal, he said softly. If that's the case, brother, we'll fight again the other day. Otherwise, your butler will be angry. A long meditation ceremony. In the end, it's still a shame. A little sorry to say. It's okay if our butler has spoken up. The old man also ran out of ways. The other day we fought. He said he had the power. Turn your head towards the surest direction. Just watching his back go away. The white man frowned anxiously. I can't believe the scariest thing happened. The road is the peak of the wind. But look at the orders of the most powerful. As the obvious, the degree of loyalty to him is absolute. The power of why. It is enough to make people listen to you as if you were in heaven. So the recovery, long circuit is not accidental. He really has the power to be king. Owning a destiny is scary. Suddenly right now. Most likely turn around. He glanced at the white moon. In words full of ridicule. Feng Xian body French. You used it to stop him very quickly. The tiger is the dragon guard. Your Majesty sent you to maintain the order of Vanlong. Choose the right person. Unconsciously stagnant. Fang Thu's face could not help but be ashamed. Of course, he understood the meaning of these words. He was alluding at the time. He did not stop the king, but to intervene to prevent the sacred ceremony. He clearly wants to push himself to death. He is sarcastically maintaining the order of Vanlong. It's just an excuse to get a job. Very clear. In his eyes, he was considered a hypothetical enemy. Before that, he took care of the sky. The real purpose is to explore his power. This person is really bad. It doesn't matter if the white man understands what he says or not. This time he really took the people of the lost family away. But don't forget to leave a message. Declare war on impermanence. Let's go. This time, I will lose a trick. But the fun has just begun. Let's play slowly. Ha ha ha. Unusual recipients unconsciously frown. The face immediately stops. Turn your eyes to the surest, full of wonder. The opposite. The farmer here glanced at him again. I laughed and said, Mister. Looks like you've encountered a wild animal this time. He said, the wind is turning his head. The sun was shining, but he left. The play is over. What you want to see can be seen. He doesn't want to stay here either. Suddenly coughing for an hour. She's alone, scanning her eyes, looking at everyone. Strictly speaking, well, you for 1,000 years. Not allowed to bear the hatred of the 100 family men. And everyday life. If two people are convicted in this case, please solve it. In the next 100 years of Ming. This word just came out. People immediately despise not speaking up. He's alone, he doesn't look. The person who convicted him before did not stop him. Now stand out again. What do you do when you talk about such dignity? But right now, the sea is now unraveling. He looked at the king and said, all the people of the emperor, listen to me. From today on, my family and you are unconnected. Not dead. From. The words just came out and everyone fell in terror. Especially the friends of the worst. I don't stop worrying. If we start a war now, they will definitely get caught up in it too. This is not working. Long with a panicked face. Looking towards the most vexing track butler. The missing owner. Most likely, look a little deeper into the ocean. I feel a little touched in my heart. I can't believe this guy is out of his mind. He could declare war on the emperor. For a moment, suddenly laughing. Looking at everyone laughing, I said, lost is their lost horse. What's wrong with our boss's words? That's right, from today on. We are officially at war with the emperor. 360 for refused to meet. The king of heaven heard this. Not only not angry, but a little excited. Laugh out loud. What are young people doing now? I dare to open my mouth to see what Aira is like. You think, relying only on a master's peak, like the tears of heaven, it can ensure the safety of young and old. You are all lost. That's ridiculous. Maybe you can afford to intimidate other families. But I want to be on the same level as my king. It's still early. I don't believe you can ask that old man. After all, how strong is our emperor? Accumulation over 1,000 years. It's something you can never compare to. Gently look at him. Most probably refused to give an opinion. Smiling and saying that, we'll just wait and see. He said, take all the people of the tribe and leave. Only the tears of heaven lingered. He turned his head to the king and said, used to be the master's bow. The good old man reminded me of something. Lost now. Even if King Mon wants to touch, you have to think carefully and do it. This word just came out. Hong Fu Thien Nu Yen, the same impermanent recipient, is immediately angry to the point of stupidity. A third-class family like a lost family. What's the point of bullying them here? The king stood for 1,000 years. He is the head of the 7 families. Even 7 is not sure to touch it. Right now in front of everyone, A third-rate family oversaw them. It's really extravagant. This moment. The lost family has an evil butler like the worst of mortals. Again there's a wine like magic. Celestial cushion. It's like putting on a new look. The power behind it is unfathomable. Make people afraid. But the lonely woman of the second heaven left Van high, shaking his head, laughing miserably. This time their father was at odds. After this day he did according to the king's orders. According to the most popular survey against 7 families, their father is not far away. Will truly confront together. After 3 hours, people finally returned to the place of the lost. Van Long City, probably straight into the room. Aggressive, shut the door, screaming cold, no way I can enter. The reward is an urgent call. But she hasn't finished yet. The police officer interrupted the lady. Sometimes men need to be quiet alone. Bother him. But we didn't even wait for people to leave. There was a scream in the room. I heard the scream coming. The pain of why. The reward is unbearable but miserable crying. Maybe Tim isn't open to everyone. Alone to hide all the pain. Indignation in the depths of my heart. Like he'll be forever alone. Alone in this vast world. Just like that. The church is often waiting at the door of the room. The worst of all. His heartbreaking cry never ceases to come out. Stopped the next day. No more static. It's normal feces, to red eyes standing there. The tears are not even dry. Right now. The leader came from behind and sighed. Miss Long, the ants. They've always sent people to announce. No one came to the door this time. Slightly suspicious but very quickly she saw the problem. Finally laughed coldly. Take down the family, it's just the fireflies. The leader led them here. The leader with a serious face nodded and left. Just a moment later, under the leadership of the board, the people of the Red Army and according to the people of the 3 great families, come into this place together. Look at the people coming. Is the award bowed coldly said. The owners are very sorry. I usually have a job so I can't pick it up myself. Please be guilty here. No, 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 no. The police officer with his hands swept his eyes and asked. In his eyes came a tear. Is that the AI whines for an hour? Look at the room. The door is still closed. Deep conversations often get busy. It's also this. Or he's locked himself in there for a day. I didn't meet anyone. I don't know how now. It really worries people. Listen to hear. The 3 householders in their hearts hurriedly looked over. I saw the silence at the front door of the room. Close your eyes without speaking. 3 people trembled together. Hurried to the ceremony to salute him. It's like the sky doesn't pay attention. They are still standing there quietly. Not moving a little. Long March Van looked at the atmosphere in front of his eyes. In front of the door. Not from feeling. There's this evil villain standing guard here. Even if you want to break in. They're afraid they have to go home. God's grace does not stop complaining at this time. With a fighter like him. Make fighting strength the goal. Of course, he knows the type of man who is in heaven, just like him, so to speak. That's why a good fighter has a loyalty. It is very simple. That is the power of the most powerful. At this point, he was officially confirmed. The most important thing is the goal to strive for. He wants to one day be able to reach his potential. The three owners looked at each other. Is still the Big Quan representative spoke up. I often ask the old lady. I don't know if we can meet the butler. But they don't wait for the usual answers. The city came from behind. Straight to the room. See this scene. The army immediately cried out in fear. I often look at her even more angry. The enemy is getting bigger. Hands to prevent gritting teeth, said long department owner. What do you want to do? Her face turned cold and her hands went out. Said coldly, this is about me and him. Miss Lost, please don't participate. 365 A Knight of Silverhead. The tendency to walk past the ordinary straggler. One way to the door of the room. But, again blocked by the mighty body of the Tears of Heaven. Before people. The prayer is the same, closing your eyes coldly. The owner must be quiet now. No one gets in. If not, don't blame the old man for raping the weak. Take a deep look at him. He knows she is not his opponent. Nor take evidence of standing still. She knows as long as she can move the people in there, they can definitely move in. Think about here. She turned to the room to shout loudly. I am looking for you with something important. Come and see me. Don't hide in there forever. Like a turtle that wouldn't let go. Everyone heard her scold. I can't hold my breath of cold air. Filled with fear. Now the most likely fate is different. The party with the sacred guard. The current mood is not good. If you get angry, with the appearance of a demon king who doesn't care about the world, they can't help it. That's right now. The most certain moment I can hear. The voice slowly opened his eyes. Towards the door. Tell him to let them in. Slowly nod your head. God's people receive orders. Don't stop them anymore. Not be prevented. The city then lifts its feet and moves in. But the scene inside surprised her. But the man is arrogant. It's like I'll never fall. I'm sitting alone by the windowsill now. The head of hair does not know when it has turned gray. The air on you is gone. This moment is just sluggish wrapped around you. The two eyes of God. In the top batch handle contains pure amber. This person is no different. It was most likely yesterday after returning. He locked himself in the room, desperately gnawing on the pain of one night. Make the head white. I was startled to look at him. Do not call out the CA. Most likely, there's no answer. Just look up at the sky and whisper. If you're here because of yesterday's declaration of war, then you can go back. Van Hai is small, but still the future owner of our lost family. That word is an absolute command. Eventually we will get lost. He had to fight a battle with the Emperor. Whether you participate or not is up to you. The military saw his condition and sighed silently. She really didn't expect it when she wasn't touched. Probably as cold as a monster. Only know the benefits. There's no feeling. But once you get emotional, you completely lose your mind. Let it all become the weakest of existence. Thinking of this, she sighed helplessly. This feeling. It makes people so crazy. Restrain the human heart. Turn your eyes towards why. The army comforted the butler. You can't shoot like this anymore. About the emperor, it's absolutely impossible to act emotionally. Most people don't pay attention to her words. Laugh for an hour. Refused for comments. I tend to watch him transform into this form. I can't help but go and pull him away. Follow me. People are confused about what she wants to do. Most likely, they don't understand. They don't care that much either. Just let her pull. Quickly disappeared in front of everyone. Half an hour later. To become a road. Take him to the residence of Ho Long in Van Long Then. Go to her room. Probably the softest of a sad voice. Why did your boss drag me to your room? Now, I'm not in the mood to think about men and women. But he hasn't said it all yet. I saw the body of a dead man lying on the bed. Slowly, I came to look back here. The body of the pediatric. It's not over yet. His gaze was on a green jewel. Pediatric. On the stomach. Stop incense. I was amazed to cry out to the soul. It means that the child can still be saved. It is said that the Spirit of God is the God of defense. Never appeared in the sky. Is treasure having O2? When the original God was mortally wounded, the soul scattered. This treasure still works wonders. In stabilizing the primordial, it helps condense the soul into one place. Effective with amber. The most colorful face appeared happy. The sadness in my eyes is no longer exhilarating. Later, you just need to find the wine. Help my spirit, gentlemen. Then merge the soul and the accretion spirit. Original damage. Maybe I can help him live again. Long-term subjective. But I didn't wait for him to finish. The pearl of the city was gently placed on my lips to prevent a beautiful smile. The heart of the soft call. We are the trend. The first 366 kisses. I have to eyes smiling at you. You're not depressed anymore. Her face is a little red. Most likely the most embarrassing nod said next. You just need to find the geologic genius. It can replenish the soul. It saved the child's life. My eyelids trembled slightly. She looked at him laughing. Maybe you know. Where can you find that miracle drug? Slowly shake your head as firmly as possible, slightly shrugging your shoulders. But in his eyes there was a certain certainty. But as long as the spirit of the fish is stable, we'll have time to find it. Even if you can't find it in space. We also have to look outside the sky. This word just came out. There is a little pain in my heart. This man can give up everything because he regrets stopping incense. But I don't know what I can do for her. But her long dance is saved by the medicine. Love means you should give it back. So say, you and I should cut it off after today. There is no room for her in the heart. Thinking of this, she sighed unconsciously. But very quickly hid the misery. Towards the surest, said the sweetest. You must have wanted to tell me something. I want to thank you. Can't help but startle. The most bizarre thing is to look at her. And he laughed softly with a voice. How do you want to thank me? How do you want me to thank you? Can't help but be stunned. Most likely awkward head scratching is not very clear. The corners of the mouth tend to stick up the mystical curve. Close to the person, he casually said. Close your eyes first. The eyelids trembled slightly. Most likely a strange glance at her did not understand very well. But her eyes gradually became aggressive. Threatened to close his eyes. A little restlessness in my heart. What does this little girl want to do? A ray of love rose in his eyes. To softly move forward. Put a kiss on his lips. Most likely, she was surprised to open her eyes. But the city was in a hurry. Stop talking and don't open your eyes. The body doesn't stop for a moment. Most likely, they will open their eyes and close them. On his face came a calm smile. You tend to breathe deeply again. Put a kiss on his lips and whispered me tight. Probably in my heart a little nervous. I don't know how. But in the end, according to what she said. Put your hand on her soft waist. From his quiet lips relying on his heart. My face right now is full of love. Voice like a delusional voice. Really want to go back. Time in a dilapidated house in the dance city. It was just the two of us. Sure. I will not allow you to think of another woman. Especially stop the baby. The worst part of the body is not self-conscious. Uncontrollably nodding unconsciously. Take a deep breath. As a result, you're both in the same place. Close your eyes and hold each other for a long time without moving. It's like that year at Kia's little house. Sleep peacefully on each other's shoulders. Living life like a married couple. It was a long time before the police finally opened their eyes. Softly back to the back. Laugh and open it. Eyes out. Probably listening to her. Open your eyes. She looked at her beautiful face. There's a little 7 in there. The lake is not blooming. 2 hands still on her delicate waist. I don't want to let go for a long time. I tend to see this small movement. Smiling a little joke. How can you not afford it now? It will be late from now on. We're just a partnership. There's nothing else. You are on your child's side. We've managed our dance for so long that we have nothing to do with each other. Haha, that's what I mean. Smiling Khan for an hour. Probably the most embarrassing human, scratching his head. It's just that there's no reason to be a little bit lost. I can't help but feel lost. Unconsciously frowned softly. What you just said is your request. But right now, I'm a little unwilling. I don't know when. I've become such a mean man. He felt his heart suddenly empty. It's like losing something. She glanced at the shadow of her back. It seems like I want to say something, but right now. The city has spoken coldly. Maybe you should go home now. Maybe you will quickly find a way to save your child. To hear this word of hers. Most probably not self-controlled but angry. Hold fast to power. The man who forced her to kiss him is now chasing her. Maybe it's all just an excuse to get rid of the guests. Why don't you want to see that? I just had the same idea of kissing. This moment is like a stranger. Not a little affection. Think about here. I don't understand why there is a cold, silent anger. I didn't come back cold. If that's the case, I'll report from here. He said he would most likely lift his feet and leave. Wait until you feel it, and you won't turn around. I dare to look at the shadow of his back. In her eyes right now, there were heartbreaking tears streaming down. You can finally cut it off. This one-sided feeling is over. Two smart people in a lifetime. In love is not really understood. A man who used to be a lonely. I don't know what the love story is. This is love without knowing. Others think the enemy is not. I decided to cut off my love. Solve concerns for the enemy. So a man for love let go. Someone who doesn't see through his heart. Just like that. I don't know when I'll see you again. Love is by people. Fate is from heaven. Can we meet again in the future, or not? Let's see the creation of two people. Right now. A picture suddenly appeared behind her. It sounds old. First, remember the intention to keep us. Once this girl wakes up, everything and everyone here, from now on, it has nothing to do with you. I understand, don't worry. As long as he's safe, I'm happy. Softly bite the lips into a thin voice. To hear her affirmation. She looked at her for a moment. Finally disappear again, you can't see. Another dimension. Most likely after leaving a road. Always thinking about the bizarre actions of the Department of. I'm finally going to be a star today. Just look mysterious. And the elixir can heal the wounds of the soul. At least 9 products or more. It's not easy to get that. And suddenly, a transmutation suddenly appeared in the ear of the little boy. You want to save Kier's life. And Honey is 50 miles south of the city. Anyone who is not out of business. The best thing in the world is to look at the gods. The most mortal rolled his eyes in terror. The sixth is so strong. It's able to transmit sound with no trace. I finally understand. Why does today tend to be so strange? Maybe you and this person have something to do with it. But let's go see it first and figure it out later. 2 hours later. Outside the city 50 miles south. Most likely, they finally arrive at the rendezvous point, but even a shadow can't see it. Right now. Behind him he transmitted a strange laughter, ha ha ha. You're here. Turn your head and look back. In front of him there's only the image of a man. It's not clear who it is. I can't help but roll my eyes in amazement. This person, the power over the divine projection has reached the. It can separate the soul and the body. Even if the body dies, they can also take the body. Is that the realm of pure soul cultivation reaches perfection? Even at the top of the wind, confronted with Gao defenseless scene, it's no different than ants. One click is unbearable. From body to soul, everything changes. The difference between the two is too big. He looked at the other person silently, waiting for him to speak. He looked at the most certain side of the world. Laugh at the possibility. I'm sure you should have you today. Let's talk terms. Who are you? Most people don't pay attention to his words. Ask a problem. Accept 367 tone master friction tone no moon. I laughed for an hour. Just say the possibility. Almost before, forgot to introduce yourself. It's the master of friction. Masak cardboard 1 in household 3 cardboard. In the eyes can't help shrinking. Probably the most terrifying cry. This 3-tone lake. Used to be. Just make sure the sky is not invaded by foreigners. It does not interfere with the internal affairs of the universe. So it's too weird to say he showed up here. Think about here. He looks up at you or asks you. Find out what we have to do. You've said it before. God must have you. Let's see if you can make your own price. The moon laughed a voice. Probably a little crazy. Max doesn't care about the world. How do you know about it? It's like understanding his mind. The moon spoke again. You don't have to feel strange. At first, you didn't know about your existence. Because this time, we are looking for the first genius of God. Hongfuth and thin muscle. But your appearance. The Lord immediately threw him out and chose you. You should feel honored for that. You risked your life to defeat a strong opponent. Lucky to be in the eyes of God. I despised the cold for an hour. Most certainly refused to give pout comments. Crazy ass. A small-scale mortal. I thought I was first class. The road is the queen of the Holy Land. He was once again seen by a man of the world. Is there anything honorable? I see the mockery on my face. The most evil king was not only not angry, but laugh out loud. Hey ha ha ha. That's great. I highly recommend your extravagant attitude. Has a regal style. So let's change the language. He took the position of the owner. Magic invite people to join. In terms of conditions, you can set it at will. But there's a point. You are not allowed to refuse what the master wants. If I can't get it, I'd rather cancel it. I hope you understand. You and I are both immortals. Selfish interests are all the same. I understand this point very well. But we still have some work here. Can't escape. You mean lost. I will give you 3 years. 3 years later the Lord came to meet you personally. If you need anything, the Lord can help you. The most likely thing to hear this is to fall into a trap. The current situation is dangerous. If a strong assistant appears at this time, it's no different. A piece of cake fell from the sky. Think about it, he finally responded. If so, we can consider. Look at his reluctant expression. I can't help but stare. My mom is pretending, okay? It looks like he is suffering somehow. Face down like that. Fortunately for him, his character is not the same as before. Not compared to why. When he thought about it, he laughed. I like your greed. The more powerful you are, the more greedy you are. What you said before. As if to welcome you in. Should volunteer,